Today, we are going to be casting a bunch of games from LAIC. We're going to be going over and analyzing why each player is using the Pokemon they're using in this VGC International Championships, and kind of talking about the small changes that each player and, each team really brings to the table, and how you guys can probably analyze a bunch of this stuff and make your teams even better moving forward. We can see this very first round, we have Fabio Lima versus Justin Tang, very well-known, multiple-time regional championship player from North America, and I really actually like both of these players' teams. You see Justin's team on the right is going to be standard, I would call it Blood Moon balance or Goldango balance. We call it balance because there's multiple different ways to mitigate damage. The only way to break a lot of these Pokemon is using very, deliberate super effective moves. Things like Ice Beams, 4 times super effective into Dragonite. Volcarona is 4 times weak against flying moves like Acrobatics. And so they have great pivots into a lot of these. You can see a Goldango is a perfect example of a Pokemon that stops both of those with its Ghost Steel typing to resist. Same thing goes for the Blood Moon on the very bottom, the Blood Moon Ursaluna. It's weak against those fighting type moves. And, fighting type moves are not going to work on a Ghost type Goldango. They're not really going to work into a Bug type redirecting Volcarona. They're not going to work into a flying type Dragonite as well. So it's just a very balanced team that can handle a wide variety of situations, and I think it's a really, really good team for the meta. So Justin, I think, has the right calls. We're going to take a look at their moves in just a moment, but I want to take a look at Fabio's team as well. It's what I would call standard Arch Rain, and it's going to be using Archaludon to effectively go for those electro shots, boosting the rain from Pelipper and stuff like that. We have the big Basculegion, probably rocking a Choice Scarf or Choice Band, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. And one really cool thing that I really like about Fabio's team is that they've substituted the Rillaboom that is sometimes on those teams for a Whimsicott. Now, I still think it's a really good idea to have a Whimsicott on an Arch Rain team because you need it to mitigate the electric attacks into Pelipper. You can provide a good switch in there. You can also mitigate the damage from a Grassy Glide or something into your Basculegion. Imagine a world where Basculegion's on the board, you Hearts up into the Whimsicott, use your Grass typing, block that Grassy Glide to the best you can, right? And then from there, you can go for an Encore to lock it in a Grassy Glide against a Whimsicott, which is just not really the best situation. Kind of trap it in there so they have to manually swap instead of clicking U-turn. So it's a very high skill ceiling Pokemon, but it also provides a lot more initial pressure. I think one way to really turn off Arch Rain's teams is to have Sunny Day or other different weathers like Ninetales to come in and change things up, but you can still actually function with your speed control using Whimsicott with Tailwind early. It gives you a lot more early offensive pressure, being able to lead Whimsicott, Goldango, and stuff like that too. So I really like the Whimsicott adaptation here. What we're going to do is take a quick look at each of these players' teams before we actually take a look at this here. So we're going to be seeing Choice Specs Goldango. See, that makes complete sense that it's Choice Specs Goldango because that's going to be paired with exactly how I said the Whimsicott was going to be run. You can also see that's Fake Tears and Encore on the Whimsicott, so you can see everything I kind of talked about before when we were breaking down what the team actually brought to the table. It's going to be, going to be on display here. Speaking of on display here, it looks like since this is the first round of the LAIC, a lot of the items and icons are a bit off. It says Goldango's Life Orb and Specs. I don't really know which one it is. It says Pelipper's Choice Scarf. It says Whimsicott's Cover Cloak. So it looks like the items on each little icon there, as well as the typings for the moves, are all a little bit off, but I would ignore that and just read it instead of looking at the picture. So Incen's going to have the AV. It's going to be Power Herb Arch with that big Electro Shot, so it's not going to be reliant on Pelipper. It's going to be a Focus Sash Basculegion. That is very cool. I really think Focus Sash Basculegion could be very usable. I love the slight adaptations on this team. Cover Cloak Whimsicott's good. Choice Scarf Pelipper is very popular right now, being able to pivot around. And the Goldango there. With the Terra Blast Steel. That's actually very unique to play around Wide Guard. I actually think that's very cool tech. So cool stuff. I'm going to go and take a look at Justin's team next. Very, very cool stuff, though. I really hope either of these players win. Going to be Justin's also rocking Goldango here with, wow, that's a cool set. Choice Specs Goldango, AV Arch, Citrus Berry with that Rage Powder on the Volk, Dual Screens, Thunder Wave, Spirit Break, Grim, very solid. Scale Shot, Haze, Dragonite, I don't know how popular that's going to be in this matchup. And then standard, Life Orb, Blood Moon. This is going to be optimized to take a little bit less damage every single time the Life Orb ticks. So very, very cool set. I think this is going to be a pretty good game. So we're going to get into this right here, and I know that a lot of you guys have probably already seen the outcome of these games, but I actually wonder, I think Fabio actually has the tools on paper to win this matchup. I think if I were to want to put myself in either of these players' shoes, I would feel a lot more comfortable with the Whimsicott being able to leverage those encores up against the more balanced version of Justin Tang's team. There's only one dark type there. There's no dark Terras. Yes, you can't really do that much to the Goldango or the Grim, but you can lock the Archaludon into the wrong move. You can lock the Dragonite into the wrong move. It really makes it hard for the balanced player to actually go for those balanced tools like Protect and different forms of damage mitigation when there's always a potential of like swapping in a Whimsicott and going for an Encore there. So I just want to say great job on Justin's side, being able to realize that Whimsicott is the threat here and leading with Pokemon that give Whimsicott a really, really hard time. So Justin's no slouch here. You're going to see the Grim and the Volk here. So you're going to be able to go for screens, potentially break the Whims in one turn because it is not Sash Whims, it's Cloak Whims. So it's actually going to be really hard, but I do love the fake tiers here. I wonder if the Volk is just going to go for a Protect. I wonder if it would, because then like Encore would be pretty good into that. So it's hard to say, right? I think though that we're probably just going to see Light Screen and a Heat Wave. I would say that's pretty standard in this situation from Justin's side. That being said, it looks like we're going hard on the first turn of the game. We're seeing a Terastallization, and Terastallizing the Whimsicott. Is it Fire? It was Fire. Cool. Very, very solid typing here. It's a complete opposite to, what Whimsicott's normally weak against. I prefer, actually, when I play Whimsicott, to go Rock Terra, because you also have that resistance to, like, flying typing, which is so popular. But there's the Light Screen. There's the fake tiers, like we just talked about. Very, very standard first turn so far. Even if Justin's not having a ton of value in this turn, I would say that it's actually, overall, a winning turn for Justin, just because they got the Terra out of Fabio. So really, really good stuff. There's going to be that Power Herb Arch, which is so strong because it's not, reliant on the Pelipper to actually come in and set the rain. So you can just go straight up for a massive Power Herb boost. The Struggle Bug is going to make it so even with the fake tiers, it's not going to do a ton of damage. So you see the Citrus Berry activate, and you can actually see that Justin is so prepared for this line. They were prepared for the fake tiers. They were prepared for the +1 from the Power Herb. They were prepared for everything. And like I said, I would say that Justin's going to be in a position here where you can now go for Thunder Waves. You can maybe start going for Spirit Breaks. If you want to get that Reflect up, you definitely can. I think it's a very, very good play to go after the Grim this turn, get that guy off the board. There's the Thunder Wave. Probably like a bit of a fadeaway Thunder Wave from Grim, but I think that's very good, being able to potentially paralyze this Archaludon. Going to be very, very, good in this situation. Moonblast still dealing good damage even through Light Screen. And a Tailwind from this Volk. Now, Tailwind Volk is surprising. I think that, you're potentially getting yourself in a situation where Encore could happen. Now, the reason why I don't think I would have Tailwinded there, this is just from my experience. If you Tailwind there, and your Grim were to either have been crit by the Moonblast or the Flash Cannon, Justin would have been in a position where you would have had to send out your next Pokemon. And yes, that next Pokemon would have had a Tailwind, but there's not that many Mons on Justin's team that actually do a good damage into an Archaludon. You basically have to be bringing out Blood Moon, right? And Blood Moon is a very strong Pokemon, but then you could just trade Tailwinds back with the Whimsicott, to potentially allow your Pokemon in the back to trade. Or what could happen is like the Whimsicott could then Encore the Volcarona, basically forcing the Volcarona out that turn. And if you have to send out a brand new Pokemon and you're swapping your teammate, you're in a position where you're not really capitalizing off of that Tailwind. So where I think that it wasn't greedy to Tailwind in that situation, but I do think that it might have still been a decent idea just to go for one more Struggle Bug, just to potentially catch in something that was like swapping in to deal with the, the potential of, I would say a Tailwind or something like that. Trying to anticipate Fabio capitalizing on a passive turn. It's just my opinion. I think that Tailwind could have been punished very, very harshly in this situation. Because right here, like, I bet he was thinking, like, I could Encore that. Like, I could do that. That's definitely something I could do, right? Imagine struggling here and catching a Pelipper on the swap when they go for like a second Electro Shot. That would have been such a good play, right? You would have lowered the special attack on the Pelipper, continuously lowered the special attack on the Arch, and yeah, you see like the Pelipper pivots coming right here. Imagine if that happened like last turn. That would have been so nice, right? So here we are, finally VGC Indie Games today. We're casting the regional right now. So here we go. Archaludon is swapping in. Whimsicott swapping out. This is going to be turning into Pelipper, activating the Drizzle, getting ready to potentially, I think, go after that Grim with one more power shot. And let's see how this goes. There's the Thunder Wave. Yep, Thunder Waves everywhere. You get a Thunder Wave. You get a Thunder Wave. And I really do like that Fabio kept that Whims in the back. Very, very solid. I think being able to come back out and encore something in the late game is definitely the right way to handle this. We're going to see the Archaludon go for a special attack boost here. Ooh, into the opposing Archaludon. Very solid. Not that much damage. I'm surprised that they're not really getting the Grimmsnarl off the board, but like honestly, at this point in the match, Grimmsnarl is not providing a ton of value. We know that there's the Basculegion in the back as well for Fabio, and I'm sure Justin knows that basically by seeing the Pelipper here, it's going to tell Justin everything they need to know. They know that that's going to be Basculegion. There's no reason it would ever be Goldango in the last spot if like the Pelipper core was coming. That's one of the few, I think, like mistakes that I think a lot of people have is they show their like third Pokemon too early. And if you're playing a team that has like combos like Archrain and stuff like that, when you show that third Pokemon, you really also show your fourth Pokemon, especially in like a game 1 situation where you're supposed to be playing standard. Now, it's really unfortunate that you got to swap out a Archaludon for a +2 Archaludon for a Whimsicott here. But that being said, I still think that Fabio's doing a good job here. Trying to keep up with the pressure that Justin is putting down. That is going to be a -2 on that Archaludon on Justin's side from that Draco Meteor. Ew, and you don't get the KO with the Hurricane. Unlucky. They definitely wanted that to go down because they wanted to not get Thunder Waved. So they're probably thinking, ooh, what do we do? I think you could have Weather Balled that. I think Weather Ball would have been a really solid play over the Hurricane in that situation, just because it would also low-key pin the Valk and force the Valk into a Terra or something like that too. You actually want the Valk to go Terra if possible in this matchup. That way you can start pinning it with other things that you have in the back. That being said, this is just not that great of a situation from Fabio's. In Fabio's situation, you got 2 Pokemon that are paralyzed. You got a Tailwind on the opposing side. They have a Valk ready to come in the back, and they still haven't really shown their last Pokemon. You see how Justin's playing this. We were talking about the value in saving your last Pokemon. We are assuming that that's Blood Moon, right? But it could definitely be Goldango as well. And that's one of the values of balanced teams. You have so many different Pokemon to handle different situations. We see the Whimsicott go down to the body press here. And let's see what happens. Let's see if this Pelipper is going to be fully paralyzed. I think it's actually pretty important. Survey says not paralyzed. Grimmsnarl goes down. Now, if I was Justin in this situation, what I would be trying to do here is actually win without showing my last Pokemon. I would send that Archaludon back out, or sorry, the Volcarona back out to partner with the Archaludon, just because maintaining like that illusion of what you potentially could be doing for a game 2 could be really, really, really important. Being able to kind of save that info and kind of run this same lead combo back, but then they don't know what you have in the back. Maybe you can even make some changes to what you have in the back. Could be very, very beneficial for like a game 2 or a game 3 moving forward. Yeah, we're seeing potentially thinking about going to the Basculegion here to capitalize on the rain. I think Archaludon is correct. I think what you're probably going to do is come with Archaludon, pivot out the Pelipper for the Basculegion, lose Archaludon over the course of a couple turns. We do see Dragonite as Justin's choice here. I wonder why you would choose Dragonite in this last situation here. Maybe it's Justin thought that they were going to come right out with the Basculegion, and they wanted something to, you know, potentially trade decently into that. There's going to be a multi-scale Dragonite, I believe. Being able to like trade scale shots into Basculegion could be very nice, because right now that Archaludon is at -2 special attack. So I'm looking at this thinking maybe they were really anticipating Basculegion, which just shows that Justin has like a good matchup on the game and they were keeping your opponent honest in that situation. But yeah, let's see what happens here. You see, you like the casting. Yo, thank you so much. I mean, someone has to do it, right? I think these sort of things make a pretty decent YouTube video, I would say. If you guys want to check out some of the YouTube stuff, go ahead and do that. But right now, Justin's in like a very commanding position. I would say you could even swap that Dragonite out for Valk, mitigate some damage if you want. I wouldn't say there's any reason to leave the Dragonite in, but yeah, we see the Dragonite will be left in, and in being left in, it gets confused. Confused by a Hurricane. Massive Electro Shot coming out as well from Archaludon. That's going to give it a +1 special attack boost. And let's see who we're really going into here. I think the Dragonite, right? Yeet. Alright, lots of damage there. Confusion on Dragonite. What do we see? Survey says, remember this is round 1, right? First attack that Dragonite uses in the whole tournament is going to hit itself in Confusion. Hopefully that's not a worrying trend for Justin moving forward for the rest of this tournament, but, you know, That's a lot. And that Dragonite has like a lot of attack investment. It did so much damage to itself. So you can actually, I would put money on that Dragonite having full attack adamant investment, or at least very high investment. So let's see where we're going to be going from here. Dragonite might swap. Realistically, like sending out that Dragonite and leaving it in really gave, you know, a lot of tempo to Fabio, right? Getting that Dragonite, basically lowering its multi-scale, wasting it. I think that Fabio's doing a really good job here, pivoting out that Pelipper, coming with the Basket Legion, and getting ready to go into that secondary rain mode. Let's see if Justin can read this and punish that Pelipper slot correctly. I think that's a very good play. You definitely would be going after the Pelipper slot. We see Protect Dragonite. So again, anytime you, this is a rule of thumb for me, anytime you are confused and you're trying to roll the dice and go for a Protect, your back's to the wall, right? You don't want to take that damage, but you have to ask for permission to not take that damage through the confusion. So luckily for Justin, they were rewarded this turn. But yeah, let's see how much damage Justin can actually do with a body press here, or if maybe they're targeting the Pelipper slot with an Electro Shot. Let's see. Just a good Snarl. I like that. I vibe with Snarl there. Snarl on AV Archer is one of my favorite sets as well. You critical hit that Basket Legion. A lot of damage in the Basket Legion. Wow. Holy moly, that is a lot of damage. And so the rain is stopped. Now right here, we're in a situation where Basket Legion can start going for damage, or it can swap. Remember, there is still a Volcarona in the back, and I want to note that Justin still has Terra available. We're on like turn 5, turn 6 of this game, and Terastallization is still an opportunity for Justin. I wonder if we're getting too low on a lot of these mons to actually like make sure that, or actually have a, you know, an impact with Terastallization, but let's see what happens. If there was a Terastallization turn, it might actually be happening right here. I wonder what the Terrast was on the Dragonite. I think it was Fairy, which might not really come into play, but we'll see. I don't think there's a... Yeah, let's see. Dragonite's going to swap out for Volcarona, trying to get a burn onto the Basket Legion, because I'm assuming that like a Last Respects would be going into that Dragonite slot. It protects on cooldown. There is the Last Respects, and I don't... Does Last Respects make contact? I should know these things. But no burn happens at all. Draco Meteor rips from the Archaludon into the Archaludon. And let's see what happens here. Again, I think one thing about this matchup is, I think in that situation specifically, Fabio was playing for a crit. We didn't really know what Mon was swapping out for Volcarona, and maybe didn't want to get burned. I really thought that there was a good chance that Justin would have swapped out that Archaludon here. But that being said, Pelipper's going to come back out. It's going to reactivate the rain. It's going to activate this Basket Legion. I would say that Fabio's in a good spot here right now. I would probably be going after the Archaludon spot just because it can't protect. Dragonite can protect, and worst case scenario, you can put yourself in a situation where you can Last Respects to trade with the Archaludon, and then the Dragonite has to KO the Basket Legion, and then maybe Dragonite can also KO Pelipper. That's if Pelipper doesn't get paralyzed this turn. You can then say, also go after the Dragonite, but then I don't know if the Pelipper can actually KO the Archaludon. So, ooh, are you going with the Protect play? Protect Icy Wind. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Since you have Icy Wind on Pelipper, I would just Last Respects the Basket Legion and Icy Wind. Icy Wind would KO Dragonite. Like, that's definitely what you want to do. Scale Shot does go into the Archaludon, into the Basket Legion. But imagine a world where, like, if you lose your Pelipper here, you almost lost that one, my guy. You almost lost it. You came so close. Like, if I was in Justin's situation, I'd be so frustrated, because, like, it's always so frustrating when people potentially make a misplay in that last like little situation here. But hey, that's crazy, right? I would never protect the Basket Legion right there. You want to trade with that Basket Legion 1-for-1 and then pin the Dragonite with the Icy Wind. But this should be game for Fabio for game 1. Pretty good stuff. Let me read this comment here. What would you consider the level of players here compared to the Vegas regionals? I don't know what the levels of competition are in VGC ecosystem, let alone international. So this is actually going to be an international championship. So compared to the Las Vegas regional championship, this is a step up. And this is the usage stats for phase 1 of this tournament. So this is going to be, instead of the best players in like North America or like the West Coast that would go to the Vegas regional, this is the best players in the world, period, and everyone goes to the internationals. This is just one of the 4 major international events. There's the Latin American International Championships, there's the North American International Championships, there's the European National Championships, and I believe there is still the National Championships near Australia. I don't remember if that one is still on the boards for TPCI right now, but I know that this is one of the big majors that we go to, and these events provide the most amount of championship points for players trying to qualify for Worlds. So this is the highest level of competition. Yo, how's it going, everybody? Thank you for stopping by. We're going to get into Game 2 here in just a minute. We're going to get into Game 2 in just a minute. We're going to speed up a lot of this stuff. That's one of the values of like looking at the stream a little bit after things have already started here. But let me know if you guys like this sort of casting, you like the part where I break down and provide my opinion on what people are doing. Now, we see that Justin here has decided to go back with the Volcarona and Grim lead. And remember how I talked about in Game 1, where Justin had the one turn where they sent out the Dragonite instead of the Volcarona, and they did that to anticipate Fabio going with Basket Legion. Now, if Justin would have sent out Volcarona, I think there was a good chance that Justin actually wins that game, because you save your Dragonite with multi-skill to be able to 1v1 the Basket Legion in the back. There's one international per hemisphere, and players are allowed to travel to compete in multiple. I see that as Justin as USX was saying, yep, yeah, you can go to all the internationals if you want. You can get championship points from all of them. That's how players get like thousands and thousands of championship points and basically get these stipends and the payouts to go to all of these different events. But that being said, I think that Justin has like a very solid game plan. You saw the first like 2 or 3 turns of the game, Justin played this perfectly, was able to, mitigate the damage from the Whimsicott, was able to correctly pin everything, and basically forcing Fabio to, alternate their strategy to come back with something that can actually deal with just how strong this dual screens Grim Volcarona is. So let's see if Fabio's strategy of Pelipper and Goldango actually works in this situation. I would say that this is probably I like this lead for Fabio. I really like Pelipper, specifically like Scarf Pelipper into a lot of these Pokemon. It forces Justin to really pick between wanting to set up light screens or Thunder Waves. And when the opposing team also has like things like Goldango, it makes it really hard to like go for Thunder Waves and stuff like that. So good thing for Justin, Goldango's already on the board. Like imagine a situation where, right, Justin were to go for a Thunder Wave into a Pelipper, and that Pelipper would swap in for a Goldango, and then you get like a free Tailwind up with like your teammate. You would have like an immediate amount of like high level board control in that situation. So I don't know if I agree with the Goldango as the partner to the Pelipper in this situation, but it is what it is. What I would have probably led with there was Basket Legion. Or Whimsicott. So we see the Thunder Wave right off the rip, and maybe I'm putting too much value in my Pelipper not being paralyzed, but you see how in this situation, imagine if that Pelipper wasn't paralyzed, there'd be a lot of damage going off on this turn. Let's see if this Pelipper can actually make something work. Goldango and Pelipper getting those stat drops here. Make It Rain doing great damage to the Grim. If we can stick a Muddy Water, the Grim will go down and there will be no screens, which would be crazy good. Crazy good. It's going to be Life Orb, Goldango. There's the Hurricane. Going into the Volk, I agree with that. I think that there's a lot of value in that play. Getting both of those Pokemon so low, so early on the first turn of the game. Yes, there's no KOs. Volk is also going to be able to activate its Citrus Berry, which is going to restore a good amount of HP. But, yeah, I think that I think risking those Thunder Waves is too risky for me. I don't think you need to be playing that risky, but at this point, you've already locked in. You got the Choice Scarf Pelipper. Maybe you're also, I personally don't know Fabio, but maybe they're intimidated by playing someone like Justin for some reason. Justin is a multiple-time regional champion. I'm sure Fabio also has a lot of accolades on their side as well, but that seems to me like a play where you're hoping that they miss the Thunder Wave. You're hoping that you don't get parried. And I feel like there are just better lines to solve for X to mitigate the effectiveness of that Thunder Wave. Maybe force them into a screens play and get those punishes. Because right now you see they've gotten Justin on the back foot, but they did it in a very risky way on the first turn of the game. They went all in on the first turn. If, the Thunder Wave would have fully parried, that would have been just humongously, like, never lucky situations where you would have been in a situation where if you don't stick that damage on Volcarona, you don't get out of that hole, because you don't have any defensive pivots on this team with your Goldengo already on the board. You have things like Archaludon and like Incineroar, but those aren't really valuable pivots into Volcarona. You don't really get that much out of it, especially when Rain's already active. So yeah, I think that the fact they did not get paralyzed, they have not been paralyzed once in this set, if I recall correctly. That's really, really good for them, but I'm feeling like one para is all Justin needs to really blow this one open. I would say I'm more of a fan of Justin's playstyle in this game, being very patient, but, you know, let's see what happens here. Probably gonna start seeing some screens come out. Might even see a pivot. I think Grim could be a very useful pivot in the late game here, just to give you one more free turn in case your Archaludon or something that can't normally protect is pinned. That's one of the valuable things I think about, is like regaining board tempo, and then having those Pokemon in the back that you can send out and basically fodder to get a Pokemon that would not normally have protect out of a big pin that they wouldn't really want to be in. It also makes so you can go for like Draco Meteors and stuff like that with an Archaludon, and then pivot it out to then regain the stat drops. So here we go. Archaludon is pivoting in here, making its presence known. There's a pivot of the Archaludon out over there. Okay. Is this Volk or is this Dragonite? Volk, the Rowdy. Okay. Let's see if we see any reads here. Everyone's switching. Is this a 4-swap? No way. No way, bro. Into Basket Legion, the former alpha from Pokemon Legends Arceus. There's a good Spirit Break. I think that's a fair Spirit Break. It's going to be able to lower the special attack on the Archaludon. And remember, this is not Stamina Archaludon. This is, I believe it is a Sturdy Arch. It could be Stalwart. You know, we went over it at the very start. But it's one of those Power Herb sets. So very, very cool stuff. One of my favorite Arch sets. But I still feel that there's so much value to be had in... Oh man, the Basket Legion is just having so much pressure here. You got to swap that Basket Legion out, because you cannot risk a Thunder Wave. Unless you're just hoping that Justin misses Thunder Wave. And again, like, I don't know if you can do that. So we're going to see Terastallization come out here from Justin's side. I believe this is our first Terastallization of the match. It's going to be on the Volk, which I believe goes Grass. Water, okay. I mean, I could have done a better job. Like, the first graphic that we showed had all the Terras all weird, right? So I didn't really know what Terras were what here. But Water Volk is a good Terra. Oh, I like that Aqua Jet. Yeah, I forgot that you have Aqua Jet on Basket Legion. Being able to use a priority move with a higher base speed tier Pokemon before the Grimmsnarl could go for priority moves of their own. Very, very good stuff. As we see the Tailwind come out from the Volcarona, just in time to eat an Electro Shot? Yes, it is. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Massive Electro Shots. I wouldn't even say reading the Terra, but I would say punishing Justin for correctly trying to mitigate damage from you know, the Basket Legion. That's why you commonly do see a lot of Grass Terra on Volcaronas. It just really covers up for those water attacks that you would be really afraid of without gaining any additional weaknesses to common types like Electric. So crazy good pins from Fabio. You still have all 4 Pokemon left, and Justin's last Pokemon is going to be Dragonite and Archaludon. So this is going to be multi-scale Dragonite, and remember, this Basket Legion is Focus Sashed. It's not locked into Aqua Jet. That is so important in this matchup here. So let's see how... I mean, if anyone could get out of this, it's Justin, right? This guy's gotten out of some crazy situations in the past, but I really like the Protect there. The double Protect to force Justin to get themselves out of the situation. Yes, you're going to be potentially giving Justin a % chance to Electro Shot, get a special attack boost, but what your main goal here is to wait out those Tailwind turns. The problem with waiting out these Tailwind turns is that Dragonite is eventually just going to get more and more boost from Scale Shots to speed, so it's going to still be a problem. It'd be really cool if they actually side Scale Shotted their own Archaludon there. I think that would have been crazy to get those speed boosts even more. We see Snarl, and so we see Fabio being rewarded by having a very passive play there. They didn't choose to go for an Electro Shot, which means no special attack boost. Justin's really trying to pin everything that could pivot out. The rain is going to stop. I believe one of these Pokemon should swap out for Pelipper here. I would swap out the Basket Legion for the Pelipper, fodder it since it is paralyzed, and then get ready to pin the rest of the game with Basket Legion. Because right now that Dragonite should be faster than your Basket Legion, even if you have a Swift Swim active. I don't like this. I don't like this. Swap in your Pelipper, bro. You have all the tools to win this game. You have all the tools. Just swap in Pelipper for Basket Legion and send something to the Shadow Realm. Oh no. He's trying to break the multi-scale, which I get, right? The problem with this play though is, again, we're talking about like what's risky and like what's not risky, is this would lose to a Protect from Justin. Versus if you pivot in your Pelipper and you try and make that same type of play, even if Justin has a really good protect and KOs one of your Pokemon back, you still are gaining like massive board control. You're regaining your weather control. You're able to then repin with Basket Legion and make the same play you just did, but without losing any of your Pokemon. We see the Basket Legion live at 1 HP. Remember, the Focus Sash was not like a big factor there, but then we see the Draco miss. Oh man, holy moly. So again, I just want to talk about this. You could have swapped Pelipper in there, right? You could have swapped that Pelipper in there. You could have a full health Basket Legion. At this point in the game, you're starting to get a little bit pinned. Holy moly. I would say that's a very big tempo swing back into Justin's favor. Good job, Justin, for like not playing the passive turn. Like realizing that your back's to the wall, you need to start fighting this with some aggression. Last turn of Tailwind here. I wonder if the Basket Legion is going to protect. I don't dislike that play, but at this point, you are playing right into Justin's hands, right? Justin knows that you're going to be playing passive with the turns that you have left, so they're going to probably double your Arch this turn, which is double protect is fine, but then that protects will be on the cooldown for the latter half of this. So let's see what actually happens here. Let's see if Justin can go for a big punish somehow. Double protect is good. I'm trying to think of just exactly how this one comes out. Scale shot? I still want to see the side scale shot into Arch to get all the stamina procs. I still want it. I want it so bad. There's the Snarl here. Yeah, what I would be doing is probably scale shotting these Arches and then using the Snarl to like peel off the Basket Legion. I think this is probably going to be the turn where Justin might go for the Protect Dragonite just because like you're getting big pinned from what I think Last Respects might actually be able to like almost take them out. But let's see what happens here. You could still just swap in your Pelipper. Maybe they're really valuing the Pelipper being at full, having Icy Wind. I think there's something to be said there. I like Last Respects into Dragonite. I think that's fair. Yep. I would double the Dragonite this turn because worst case scenario, yeah, that's probably what's going to happen here. You should be getting the Dragonite dealt with somehow. You get massive damage from that Snarl. Is that another crit? Oh, wow. That's just so much damage into Arch. So Basket Legion goes down. Definitely going to save that, but let's see what happens here. Draco Meteor from, I believe, -2 Basket Legion does make connections with Dragonite. There was a light screen up. It's not doing a ton. Now, in this situation, Goldango is very good. Pelipper's fine. I just want to talk about this. Like, we showed the situations where Fabio didn't correctly keep up with the tempo. They could have had Rain going this whole time, setting up for a Basket Legion just to clean out the game at the very end, but you know, I think things are starting to go back in Justin's favor. And I will say, with how things are going, if Justin can claw this one back and bring it into a game 3, they have all of the momentum in their favor. It shows that their balanced playstyle can win. It shows that they have the right Pokemon for the matchup, the screens, the Thunder Waves, all these things. Basically, what happened was that Pelipper got paralyzed, and Fabio seemingly was too afraid to like bring it in and rely on it to actually do stuff when they should have been using it to, you know, fodder in some situations. Would Enamorus be good since Togekiss isn't in the game? Enamorus is hard to use. It's also not legal in this format, which is Regulation H. So maybe in Regulation F it could see play. I prefer the Overcoat variant, the Therian version personally. Now let's see what happens here. This is still anybody's game, but at the same time, I would say that Fabio is definitely running out of options, while Justin just got a fresh coat of paint on a Tailwind. Yeah, I mean, it looks like all you gotta do is just Electro Shot, Scale Shot, and Justin wins, right? It looks like that's all you really got to do. So Fabio's hoping that, you know, a Scale Shot misses or something weird happens. I understand where Fabio's going here, eventually trying to fodder the Pelipper, and Justin actually goes for the Scale Shot into Pelipper. That's actually so cool. I wonder if you're doubling the Pelipper here, which would be a solid play. You always just want to get off those Pokemon off the board that have that, what is it, that can't protect, right? So I like that play. And let's see what Justin's using here. I wonder if it's another Snarl. Because I think Snarl plus Scale Shot there is still good. Let's see. Survey says speed boosting and a Snarl. Yeah, I like that. So it's going to come down to this Goldango. Light screen's finally over, though. Now it's time for Goldango to make its presence known. Let's see if Goldango can do something. I feel bad for Fabio. I feel like they had this one in the bag and just took the foot off the gas pedal, right? That's what I really feel happened in this situation. You can't win the game by protecting. They know that your Archaludon's protect is on cooldown and that Goldango cannot 1v2 these two Pokemon. If you go protect Goldango and protect your Arch, that's a net loss that you'll never be able to come back from, unless you were to then double protect your Goldango the next turn, right? I feel like what we're going to see here is probably the Dragonite go into the Arch, the Justin's Arch go into Goldango, and we're just going to probably go to a game 3. But we'll see. I vibe with the double protect on Arch here. I vibe with it. I vibe with it. Sometimes those go off, and we do get it off. Let's see if Justin made the reads and started targeting the Goldango here. Scale Shot into the Arch, whose Protect was on cooldown, which is the correct play from Justin. That usually never, ever works, that double Protect. And let's see, is it Snarl? That can miss on Goldango too. That would give Fabio the win, in my opinion, if that Snarl misses. Snarl does connect. Does not get the KO, but this is a... Oh, that's a crit too. Ooh, that's a lot of damage. I believe this is a Life Orb Goldango. Oh, Shadow Ball. Let's see if it's Life Orb or Specs. I'm trying to remember correctly. And Dragonite does go down to that. I think that you're Specs, but we'll see if you take Orb. It's Orb. Cool. I mean, that's still a lot of damage. Holy moly. And now, just like that, Fabio is back in charge. We still have Terastallization available, being able to mitigate the damage from the Snarls, potentially, and go for a super effective Terra Blast fighting into this Archaludon. This is so crazy this game is still this close, but Justin can win. Actually, I think this is a misplay. Like, did the Tailwind end? Because if the Tailwind didn't end, that Arch is just going to full send it into the Dango and wall the Arch. Yeah, let's see. I believe that the Tailwind ended. If it didn't, though, you would just protect your Goldango this turn and then win. I don't know why we didn't see that, but hey, we're trying to cook over here. Yeah, let's see. If Goldango's faster, that means the Tailwind expired. Nope! Why didn't you protect your Dango? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh my gosh. Hey, you know what? Justin has so many shots to win this game still. That is absolutely crazy. This is the last turn Tailwind, right? Am I wrong? Because that Arch, you need to crit Draco and it still won't get it, right? Oh my gosh. Yo, you could have just protected. You could, and then Archaludon does have a higher base speed than Goldango, but like a Goldango would normally have a much higher base speed. Yeah, if your Archaludon's outspeeding their Archaludon, especially those AV Archaludons, you have the shots to win with your Goldango. And Justin came back. That was a clinic on I'm not going to say choking, but like a clinic on not realizing your win conditions or maybe getting caught up in the moment. Maybe those nerves are really getting to them. But I do think that, hey, shout outs to Justin for sticking in there. And I would say all of the momentum is on Justin's side now. Crazy, 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 crazy. But oh, you had Protect on the Dango. You had Protect. Just looks like they didn't count their Tailwind turns correctly. So let's get into the third game. We're going to be right here into this third game. I wonder if Justin's going to go with the same exact lead. I wonder if Justin busts out their Goldango in the mid game here. That might be... I would like to see a Volcarona Goldango lead from Justin's side. Looks like we see just Grim. I wonder if Blood Moon is eventually going to see play as well. So, very standard leads here. We see the Whimsicotts, we see the Archaludons, we see Volk, we see Grimmsnarl. I wonder if we might see something like Protect Volk, Spirit Break the Arch to break Sturdy, get a special attack drop. Looks like we're getting Terras on the first turn. Is that on Whims again? Oh, on Arch this time. Into Electric Double Dip. Are we going to see... I didn't see what they locked into. We might see like a Moonblast Electro Shot double into Grim. Nah, Tailwind's fine. Just to get over the struggle bug here, let's see if we're... Oh, it also blocks Thunder Wave. That's actually really cool tech for that Electric Terra Arch. It does block the Thunder Wave. Looks like we're seeing an all-in play from Fabio for this one. And, you know, I would say Justin did the right play there and just light screen first instead of going for Thunder Wave. So good stuff here. I like this. And trying to go after... I'd imagine I'd go after Grim here, but let's see if they go after Volk. Volk's a fine target. I don't really mind that. I overvalue Grim in these situations, especially when you're utilizing like prankster moves and other stuff like that. I personally overvalue Grim, but hey, solid. You know, I would like to be sticking damage on that Grim until I have enough special attack to then one-shot the Volk and not even let that Citrus Berry activate. Like, it would have been really cool to just go stick the fat damage into the Grim, force it to swap to avoid damage next turn, and then just go for like a fake Tears, you know, big electro shot into that thing. That would have been, or like a fake Tears like Draco or something into the Vulcan, just one shot it. I think that would have been a really cool play because the Grim wouldn't be able to stick around and, you know, do other stuff if it was potentially getting pinned by, you know, something else here. Whimsicott swapping. Maybe, was it Pelipper here or Goldango? Pelipper. So Pelipper might be swapping in on a Thunder Wave here. Definitely an option. but this is going to be activated in the range so you can have Archwood and then go for even more electro shots, which we are going for even more electro shots. So much damage with that Electric Terra as well. Regaining that +1 special attack boost. Is this Grim this turn? No, it's in a Valk again. Let's see if this can get the KO. It might get it. Oh, Volcarona lives at 1. I would not be surprised if Justin Tang, the player that they are, actually EV trained for that specifically. I would not be surprised if they did. We can see how much damage did the first time and the second time. That seems to be kind of appropriate with the light screen up. You'd be surprised how much things these high-level players calc for when actually like building their teams correctly. Awesome casting, much nicer than Pokemon Cast, always such a lull in production. I mean, I feel like with the Pokemon casters, I think they all do an absolutely amazing job, right? But it's their job to enlighten the people that are watching as to what the moves do and what the players are doing, right? I think that's like, it's their job to provide something that every single person can digest, and they do an amazing job of that. But what they don't do is have the ability to pause it and then explain the multiple turn effects of why people are doing things, why they're sending this Pokemon out 3rd, why they're saving this for 4th, why their lead says this. They're not really able to explain the inner workings of the game, which is kind of cool that we can like cast this ourselves here. So that being said, that Volcarona living is actually really, really clutch for Justin, but as I said before, it's probably EV trained to do that every single time. You know, Justin did kind of pop off when it happened. He was probably popping off because it did not critical hit. So we now see Thunder Wave go into the Pelipper, going to provide some speed control here, and there's a Struggle Bug, big Struggle Bug here. I wonder what we're going to see from Arch here. How do we get that Grim off the board? Like, it's time for that Grim to get out of here. I don't know why this Volcarona is such like a big target, but I would be getting that Grim off the board, sticking damage in that slot, because Grim also doesn't really have that many things it can be doing here. I would think you would want it to not be able to set a Reflect too for your potential Basket Legion in the back. So let's see if you go after the Grim. Looks like that's Arch, right? Nope, it's Grim. Okay, cool. It's hard to tell. Hard to tell sometimes. Big damage in the Grim Snarl here. And the Muddy Water, man. I just want to say, shout outs to Fabio. He's not been paralyzed once. That is absolutely crazy. He's had like 5 or 6 like Pokemon that have been paralyzed and like never once has he been punished for it. I don't really watch regionals and internationals, but are the announcers pro players? You know, Aaron Zhang is, I would say, a pro player. He's, you know, multiple-time regional champion, top cut worlds. Necra is a caster, but she's very good. I've played her in a few leagues. Sierra is another caster who I've played against in draft leagues. I would say they're all experienced enough to know the inner workings of how the game works, and they put a heck ton of work in to actually coming together and understanding the game. As far as like the European side, you know, Lee Provost Osiris is a former World's Top Cut player. Buenti is a Top Cut player. Jamie Boyd is a player who has won multiple regionals. So yeah, I would say that like most of the casting team is made up of people that have multiple regional top cuts, know a lot about the game, and then other people who study the game a lot, you know, and analyze things and can provide the correct amount of color commentary to the situation to help build up that hype correctly. So that being said, Justin does have a tailwind up. We see Pelipper still not punished, and we see Justin finally brings out his Archwood. I wonder if that last Pokemon that Justin has is Dragonite here. I think you need to have Dragonite here, but it would be really cool to see either Goldango or Blood Moon as a mix-up in Game 3. Again, I talked about this. I would feel like Justin would have a lot more tempo going into this Game 3 than Fabio does, but Fabio came out the gate swinging in this Game 3. It looks like they knew exactly what they wanted to do to regain that board control here. We see the Whimsicott swapping in. I love to see not just leaving those Pelippers on the board. I love to see this. We see Protect Arch, very passive play. Fabio's doing everything you need to do to correctly wait out the, you know, the screens, the tailwinds, things like that. So Flash Cannon here, and the reads! Oh, I just want to talk about that. He just flash cannoned a raw Pelipper slot. The reads, the conditioning. Holy moly, we getting rated for a party of 4. But that's that like pro player, multiple time regional championship difference from Justin Tang. Like the second the hyper aggressive player takes their foot off the gas, which is the first time this has happened for Fabio in this game, massively punished. You cannot like give players like Justin the amount of freedom to do whatever they want. A pivot and protect turn where you're not threatening either of Justin's Pokemon, you got to be just a little bit more aggressive with that. You got to say we're trading here, right? We're not you almost ran, bro. Holy moly. You got to say like we're trading a 1-for-1. I'm not just going to give you what you want. you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need. And I don't think that Aqua Jet KOs the Grim. There's a reflect up. No, I don't think so. See, like now you're grasping at straws here. Now you're right where the balanced player wants you to be. You're getting Thunder Wave. Remember that Grim style is now faster than the Basket Legion because there is a tailwind up. So, and Basket Legion cannot move because it's paralyzed. The Karma is coming back. And then another Karma, like a Mist Snarl was actually kind of crazy here, but it's okay. And let's see, Big Draco here. Oof. I think Justin has this one. Great mental to lose game 1, theoretically lose game 2. Their opponent misplayed. And then in this one, you just didn't fall prey to the tempo. You made the right reads in the right situations. Like, this is what we call making, like, the magic happen. I would say, as far as, like, the pro player difference, like, this is definitely an example of, like, that. You know, you've worked on these lines, you've worked on these flowcharts so much to where, like, you're not having a single sloppy turn. Every single situation is something you've tested, you know, dozens, if not hundreds of times, and it's just on display. You know exactly where to, like, punish people for having that one sloppy turn. You know, you're also capitalizing on tendencies as well. Like, I would say that in Fabio's case, the same turn that they played that passive Pelipper swap was the same turn. They actually had the same idea in a previous game, and it's just Justin capitalizing on tendencies that are shown. That's the third time in the set that Fabio has gone for a pivot and protect with the arch to then regain board pressure with something else. It's trying to have your cake and eat it too. It's a very greedy play, and it opens you up to just getting massively punished on your teammate's side. So let's see if Justin can close this one out. But I do think that Justin's in a great spot here, getting more stamina procs by the hour, and we might get to see the last Pokemon on Justin's side. I think that Volcarona is still very, very usable here, but it is that Dragonite here. So Dragonite is going to regain its presence on the board, and Scale Shot is amazing into this board. Even Extreme Speed, if it had it, I think would be a lot of damage into this Archaludon from Fabio's side because it's not a stamina arch. Yeah, you just got to full send the last respects. You're literally praying for crits here. I do like that Fabio's double targeting the Archaludon slot that Justin has because it cannot protect. But we can see Justin's Dragonite is not messing around anymore. It's going to go Fairy Terra to potentially gain a nullification to Draco Meteor. You're not really afraid of Basket Legion here. All you got to do is hit one move, and you should be good. Looks like Draco Meteor does not crit there. And let's see the damage. Tailwind's up. I love that. Just a little bit passive, too. It's just enough to actually let you get faster than the Basket Legion here. And you full send a Draco right back in the kisser. I love that. See, like, that's that pro player difference. And now it is a full health Dragonite that is not threatened by anything that Fabio really has. Still has its multi-scale intact, and it's able to KO potentially both of these Pokemon with an incoming Scale Shot. I think the biggest problem for Justin here is just having to hit one more move. But this is still anyone's game. I think one missed Scale Shot or one missed Draco from Justin's side could cost them in some situations. Like, imagine a world where a Hurricane confuses the Dragonite just like it did in the middle of game 1 and things just go south. I think you got to try and full send those RNG mechanics here. Muddy Water, same thing, going for accuracy drops. I do like that option as well. So Scale Shot does connect, goes into the Pelipper, should be enough to pick up the KO because it's using a multi-hit move boosted by that loaded dice, which is going to increase all of its multi-hit moves to at least 4, if not 5 hits. Pelipper does go down, and we're going to see this Archaludon 1v1 who comes out on top. Survey says, after Dragon gets all of its wonderful boosts, that is, the body press from Justin Tang, picking up the KO on Archaludon, and great stuff for Justin, actually just holding on, not giving in, breaking through those tournament nerves, and you know, potentially going on to, I would say, have a good shot at winning this tournament. They have a very, very good team for the tournament. Balance is very strong in Reg H right now, and yeah, they just didn't give up. Great stuff. We love to see it. We're going up into round 2. We have Victor Medina using Hisui Ursaluna versus Hisuian Typhlosion, one of my absolute favorite mons used by Yuma Kinagawa. I actually really like both of these teams. We're seeing, again, Victor using like a pseudo Archrain team with that Sinistcha support, being able to provide health to your Basket Legion, health to your Ursaluna, health to your Archaludon. I really, really like that this team can go a little bit of both ways with potentially fast like Pelipper mode and like a little bit of a Trick Room mode enabled by Sinistcha. I think that's very good. We're going to take a look at their team in just a sec. And then we see Yuma's team over there utilizing that like Hisuian Typhlosion. Hisuian Typhlosion is going to drastically struggle in this matchup, even if it's paired with like a Sunny Day Whimsicott, just because so many of those Pokemon on Victor's team mitigate the damage from fire moves. You have the Incineroar, you have the Basket Legion, you have the Pelipper. Even Pokemon like Archaludon still take neutral damage and reply back correctly. And we're also seeing a little bit of an Ursaluna mirror match. We see the Hisuian Ursaluna from Victor's side versus the Blood Moon variant on Yuma's side. So let's take a look at each of these players' teams and kind of break down what's important about them. We see the Choice Band Basket Legion, really good stuff. We see Aqua Jet Flip Turn. I would say that's really, really good with that Swift Swim to give it that big speed boost when, in the rain from Pelipper. We see Safety Goggles and Incineroar probably not going to have that big of an impact on this matchup because there aren't any, Spore users like Amoonguss. We see the standard Flame Orb, Guts, Ursaluna. We see the Sash Pelipper, very standard. Look to see no Wide Guard there, but there is that Tailwind option. And then we do have the also Trick Room option on the Sinistcha there with its Hospitality ability and Life to be able to actually heal up its teammates with that AV Assault Vest Archaludon. I think this Victor's team is incredibly standard. I don't think there's a single move out of place. I think all of the Terras are correct. This is the sort of team like you bring to the tournament and you're absolutely trying to like outskill every single opponent. You're like, you know what? I'm really good. I don't need to make any sort of weird changes or weird meta calls. Like, in the last game we saw like the Fighting Terra, Goldango, Terra Blast. Like, there's nothing weird here. Every single one of these moves is very deliberate. They're very standard. I would say the only weird tech I would say might be the Fighting Terra Archaludon, but that's still really good because it increases the power of your body press. Let's take a look at Yuma's team next here. Going to be the Choice Specs Hisuian Typhlosion with that Sunny Day Whimsicott. It's going to be a Babiri Berry Whimsicott. That's probably for like Flash Cannons or Make It Rain from Goldangos. Looks like the Encore Moonblast very good as well. Going to be the Safety Goggles and Sin on their side as well. Note that Victor has Taunt on there in Sin versus Yuma does not. We see the Life Orb Blood Moon just like we saw on Justin Tang's team last round. And then we see some weird mods. We see, Citrus Berry Farigiraf with like Psychic. Nightshade is so unique. That is not something that you normally see. Nightshade is a move that deals damage to an opponent's Pokemon deal to what your level is. So it's something that you're always going to be able to do 50 damage and battles are set level 50. It's something that can't really be snarled. Like, I really like that tech. There is something that's definitely for. There's probably a calc involved where you want to go for like a big Blood Moon with the Blood Moon Ursaluna and then do just enough damage with that Nightshade where that always gets the KO, and I really think that that's unique. Helping Hand is also an option on Farigiraf, and then the Flamigo here having Scrappy, Focus Sash. This is going to be there specifically to deal with Goldango. Scrappy's going to allow you to hit that Goldango with your fighting moves. You can feint things to break protects and Wide Guards. You also have Wide Guard yourself, so Flamigo's going to be a very, very usable mon on this team. And I'm really excited to see this match. I think this is actually going to be really close. If you were to make me pick between the two teams and who I think is going to win, I would say I do think that Victor probably gets this W. Let me answer this comment. There was a 4 Colors of VGC Players video on YouTube. Are you familiar with the concept? Basically structured offense, defense, and flexible offense, defense into each of their 4 categories. Yeah, that was done by Darsh, right? If I recall correctly. I think that videos like that can be helpful, but I really think that that sort of concept, saying like, oh, he's a green player, so I'm going to do this, or he's a red player, I'm going to do this, that is really not taking into account the time and effort of your opponent. That's actually really like looking down on your opponent to say they can actually only do one type of thing, when a really good player is someone who can straight up Nickelodeon Avatar master all the elements, right? That's what you want to be, right? I would say that that's what a real Pokemon master is someone that can actually handle every single situation to the highest of, skill ceilings. And just saying that like this is a different color player, right, really is looking down on the like work that people put in. It's a bit too inflexible to say there are only one, but it's like when someone has pushed their limit or do or die situation, what are they going to default to? But that's the thing, is like that's the main difference in between understanding how people handle those fight or flight situations. That's the thing that I'm actually best at. The biggest skill that I have is correctly responding to the fight or flight situations in which I put people in. You might call me a yellow player, if you will, because I'm good at, thriving in those situations which are formed with chaotic Pokemon. So I don't know. I would say that you want to be your best to handle every single situation. Now let's just get into this game here. So we see the Incineroar on Yuma's side with that Blood Moon versus just the standard Pelipper Basket Legion. I think that's very, very solid leads from both. We see the Intimidate come out and really weaken the power of that Basket Legion. It's actually putting it in a situation where if the Blood Moon Ursaluna did want to Terrastalize, it would be able to live any sort of situation from that -1 Basket Legion. Even though the Basket Legion does have a choice band, that Intimidate is going to bring it back down to neutral and really put you in a situation where you have a lot of value here. So we're just going to see a Protect Flip turn play. I think you're probably going to go into your Archaludon here. Let's see what happens. I would say in Victor's situation here, if you are able to get your opponent to waste their Terra on turn 1, you're going to be in a situation where you can leverage that advantage for the remainder of the set and have a lot of value. And as long as you can get out of this turn without losing one of your Pokemon on the first turn, maybe to like a crit Terra move or something, you're going to be in a really, really good spot. I really like the Protect Pelipper here. And let's just see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised to see Yuma make a swap here either, but it looks like they don't. So Protect Pelipper, very, very standard. Hopefully Yuma does not take the bait with a Fake Out. Protect Ursaluna, I love that. I think the right play in every single situation here from Yuma's side, if you want me to analyze these things a little bit better, the play that you almost always make in this situation is go after the Pokemon that can't protect, that would have to swap to avoid damage, and that's going after this Basket Legion. The reason why I like that play is, we see that Victor leads Pelipper, Basket Legion, and then we see Yuma lead Incineroar and Ursaluna. Now, if Yuma were to go for Protect Blood Moon, and let's say Victor just doubled into the Incineroar, what's going to actually happen is that Yuma will be able to re-pin with the Whimsicott, bring it in for free, go for a Sunny Day, do anything they want, and then enable, it's going to flip the tempo back. And in a situation where it forces Victor to actually get that Incineroar off the board, even if they don't get Incineroar off the board, Incineroar can just Parting Shot into the Whimsicott and do the exact same thing. So you can see how this lead was one that was actually brought to fruition by Yuma conditioning people, and it forces Victor to still have to double into that Incineroar or get a big KO on the Incineroar to even play the game. And if they don't, let's say they try and just delete the Blood Moon and stop it if it goes for a normal Terra, you just lose the game. You just lose all your tempo, and the Whimsicott gets to come in for free, or whatever Pokemon Yuma wants to come in and pin with. So we see the flip turn there. It does get the KO on the Incineroar, and that is a crit. I would say I think that you actually need crit there to KO the Incineroar, even in the rain, because you were intimidated. I don't know how Yuma's Incineroar is built, but unfortunate crit here, I would say, for someone that did play, a really good turn. They come in with Archaludon. I would come in with Incineroar here every single time, unless that's a Ghost Terra on that Blood Moon. Remember, all these players are playing with an open sheet, so they can see what all of the opponent's moves are, just like we did at the start of the matchup. But if that is a Ghost Terra Blood Moon, I wouldn't bring in the I wouldn't bring in the Incineroar. Because I think it'd be really good to bring in that Incineroar here. You could just go right for that Fake Out, and then you pivot, mitigate damage, chef's kiss. Now the problem with Incineroar there is that Incineroar and Archaludon both share that that ground weakness, and there's that Whimsicott we were talking about. This is not a Covert Cloak Whims, it's a Babiri Whims, right? So it's one of those situations where what'd be really cool is if you were in Victor's side and you read them going for Sunny Day and you just weather ball that Whimsicott. Because Sunny Day seems really good. It makes it so Hurricane is less active, goes down to a 50%. I would really like to see someone punish that. Oh, do it! Because Weather Ball's so good in this situation, because if you don't Sunny Day, you're just going to take a ton of damage. I love this play. Blood Moon's Protect is on cooldown, double into it. We're seeing a Terrastalization come out as well, probably going to be on the Blood Moon side, right? Blood Moon's going to, believe, go normal. Yep, so it's going to be double dipping normal to gain even more damage on its Blood Moons, its Hyper Voices. And they're trying to get some value. I think what we're probably just going to see is a Tailwind right here. Yep, there's the Tailwind to get over the Whimsicott and the Archaludon. Let's see what they actually go into. Big Hyper Voice, going to be able to break the Focus Sash on the Pelipper, do significant damage to Archaludon. But there is a situation where, we already saw one crit this match. The Pelipper can go for a big critical hit into this into this Blood Moon. And if one of these move crits, being the Draco or the Weather Ball, this will definitely get the KO. Again, because we just don't really know. It looks like we don't need a crit because we don't know how bulky they are, right? We don't know how much investment they have. Looks like no crits are needed. But I would say that Victor is in a situation where their Archaludon is significantly weaker than it needs to be right now. But that being said, you're already in a situation where you have 4 Pokemon with one of them still not even being shown yet. And it's the 3rd turn of the game and you have your opponent on their last 2. And yes, it's really obvious what they're going to do. They're going to use Sunny Day. They're going to take away your rain. I think that you're probably... this is such a weird situation. Would you even... I don't know if I would swap in the Incin here. Hard to say. Because, like, it's just a ton of damage on the Incin because that Eruption's going to rip. I might just let the Pelipper go down and then bring in Incin and just fake out the Whims. You know, I'm thinking of, like, other situations and other things you can do. I would probably just fodder the Pelipper here. That way you retain the maximum amount of health on your Incineroar to actually just come in and 1v1. Because, like, all right. I like what they're doing here, right? Because if you pivot out the Pelipper for the Incineroar, they go Sunny Day Eruption, which risks you getting crit with an Eruption. And then if you bring out the Pelipper, they go Sunny Day Eruption again. That's 2 Eruptions you have to eat. Versus if you just let the Pelipper go down, the most you'll ever have to eat is, like, Eruption and like a Moonblast, which is actually like less damage than 2 Eruptions, right? So that's just my thoughts on this. And then you're like potentially threatening fake outs and other things like that into the Whimsicott and stuff like that as well. Nah, they look like they do pivot in the Incin. Don't get crit, right? Don't get crit. It's just that easy. Let's see what happens here. And again, I don't know how bulky the Incineroar is on Spadef's side here, but like a crit here would be really bad, right? Really, really bad. So Eruption's going to come out. KOs the Arch, see the Incin, and what's going to happen is you're going to send that Pelipper out, it's going to start the rain, and the same play is going to happen, and your Incin just went down for nothing, right? Versus, like, you could have had a situation where, like, you didn't have to just give away your Incineroar's health there. That was so obvious. I do think that, like, we might see the Incineroar swap out for the Pelipper here, but then they're just going to go Sunny Day Eruption again, and maybe the Basket Legion still gets the KO. I would Last Respects. Just Last Respects the Typhlosion. That's not it. I guess it could be it, because, like, you would outspeed the Whims. I vibe with that, actually. That's fair, yeah. And so, since this was the play that Victor was going for the whole time, I understand that play. That way you don't give away the Pelipper. I completely understand this play now. Yep, because right now what's going to happen is you are going to bring in your Pelipper, and it will be activating your Basket Legion's Swift Swim ability, since Dynamic Speed Control, its abilities function immediately, which will allow you to outspeed the Whimsicott that would normally be going for another Sunny Day with a Prankster boost, because you're using another priority move and you have a higher base speed than them thanks to the Pelipper activating your rain. So you're going to double dip your Water Terra, and oh, it's not faster. Oh yeah, it wouldn't be faster because you're actually, wait, why is that Basket Legion not outspeeding a Pelipper? Not Pelipper, Whimsicott. Why is that not outspeeding? Swift Swim. Huh. It's probably just made to outspeed Ninetales, and Whimsicott has about 7 more base speed than Ninetales does. Still amazing damage. Like, you're still gonna win, but, like, I was just thinking, like, huh, that's weird. You know? That's kind of weird. I know when I play Basket Legion, I like to outspeed Dragapult. So that's a weird set. But, I mean, knowing's half the battle, right? It's obviously a full-speed Whimsicott. Now, let's see. And you have the fake out into the Whimsicott. You have another Aqua Jet. And it's going to be Babiri Whimsicott, so it's not like there's anything really to worry about here. Don't beat. Yep. So fake out Aqua Jet into like Flare. I wonder if they have Flare Blitz or knockoff or what they really have on the Incin. But I don't think there's a way that Whimsicott actually comes back and gets this W. It's going to be close, right? But I think that it's fine. I'm surprised that both players brought Incineroar to this matchup. But yeah, it still works. Oh yeah, there's a Tailwind up. Duh, I'm an idiot. No wonder that didn't work. Yeah, so there was a Tailwind up. I couldn't remember if there was a Tailwind up from the first few turns of the game, so I apologize for that. So Aqua Jet, good damage still in the sun. Not the worst amount of damage. Big Moonblast, let's see if a crit happens. Nice, living that is so good. Able to knock off that Babiri Berry. This one's gonna be close, right? This is a close game. Sunlight's going to be there for a couple more turns. I think the Basculegion will eat 1 to 2 Moonblasts, but it's still anyone's game. And then if the sun does go away, that Aqua Jet will start doing some significant damage. Remember, they cannot swap their moves here because they are locked into Aqua Jet because they are choice banded. So they get a 1.5 boost to their attack stat, but they cannot swap moves after deciding to lock in with something. So big Aqua Jet here. Holy moly, big damage. Last time I saw Basculegion on stream, it got frozen. So let's see if this one gets crit. Nah, that's a fat Basculegion too. Wow. Should be able to eat 2 more Moonblasts, which will actually, I think, get you the W with your Aqua Jets, barring no crit high roll Moonblast from Whimsicott. But still, the fact that Yuma actually brought this back, very good. Very, very good stuff. I think that whole thing with Pelipper probably could have been played a little bit better. I think you just fodder the Pelipper, repin with the Incin, have a full health Incin, just knock off and win the game. Imagine he knocked off the choice band. Whoo! That'd be sick. And Basculegion, that'd be really cool. See, that's why we stream these. Let's see if it's a crit Moonblast. Survey says, ooh, that's so close. That's so close. Sorry. You can see their player camera. They're like, ah. Man, that was so good. Cool. So we're going to see Victor get this W. Close games on both sides here. And we're going to go into game 2. I wonder if Victor feels good about that. Because, like, you know, the game 1... that first turn of the first game, I don't think the Incineroar would have gotten KO'd if there wasn't a crit. Right? I think the Incineroar... I would not be surprised to see Yuma actually run that back the exact same lead. Because remember, the Incineroar got crit by the flip turn. And if Incineroar is still alive in that late game, I think you win. Because if you can keep your Incineroar alive to, like, secondary intimidate that Basculegion in the late game, you do just win. That whole, like, Aqua Jet 1v1 versus the Whims never happens. So let's see if these players run the exact same leads back. I wouldn't be super surprised to see it, since I think both of them had, like, shots. Let's go into this one right here. We see the exact same leads and the exact same leads. Now, I really, really, really want to see if flip turn at -1 still KOs Incin in the rain. It is banded, right? How are you? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, we're doing good here. Let's see what happens here. Ooh, we're going damage this turn. Oh, wave crash. No way. No way. No way. Bro, don't do that. He's thinking. He's like, last time they played it passive. Yeah. It's really cool to see. One of the things about, like, watching these high level play is really seeing how the best players in the world adapt to the information that's given to them. You saw turn 1 of last game. I really think that Yuma actually played it correctly, protecting your Blood Moon, trying to repin with the Whimsicott to gain tempo. Now that Victor is aware of that tendency, that playstyle to get that free pivot, I wonder if they're going to deliberately not KO things or double up into things in a specific way to have a better board state. Like, we might even see something weird like... No, I'm not going to talk about it yet. I want to save it for game 3. I was going to say, we might just see a hard swap of Pelipper out, which I think could be very good. Because, like, if you hard swap out the Pelipper out, every single time, they're going to have to set Sunny Day, and then you can then swap back in the Pelipper in mid-game situations to actually, like, force that Whimsicott to Sunny Days, and when they have to Sunny Day, just to take away the rain that you're swapping in, they can't be going for a Moonblast, they can't be going for Encores. It can kind of get you in a 1v1 situation where you have one Pokemon and they have one Pokemon, and if you have the right Mon in the situation, you can pin them correctly. So I wonder if that's going to be something that Victor's going to capitalize on. It looks like we're just going to see some damage here. They might just try to keep the Blood Moon a little bit honest, because it looks like Yuma is not a player that's going for the Fake Out turn 1, which I would agree, you never really want to go for that Fake Out turn 1. Yeah, I like this. I want to see if the flip turn KOs the Incineroar. We're seeing the exact same play. I do not mind this at all. Do not mind this whatsoever. And you did need that Weather Ball there. So you're probably thinking like, oh, Victor could have doubled that Incin. It would have been so good. You could get Incin off the board. But, like, it's not really a big deal. Like, it's not. And now we know that the crit was needed, which I think is another, like, important thing here. Because you don't actually need to KO this Incin. If you come with Arch, let's see what it's going for. Weather Ball goes into the Blood Moon, keeping them honest. And Survey says, Incin, are you parting shotting or knockoffing? Parting shot here. Parting shot into Archludon's problematic, but not the end of the world here. Pelipper's still a very good Mon here. And then we might also see... We might see Whimsicott come in here is what I would assume. Let's see if it's Whimsicott here. Because I can set the Sunny Day, you can get a Tailwind up. This is exactly like how last game started, but remember, this time Yuma has It has their Incineroar in the back, able to fake out and intimidate that Basket Legion and other Pokemon. And it has the Archiludin at -1. So it's a much better situation for Yuma. And there's that Whimsicott, like we talked about. So I would not be surprised to see the rest of this game go down a very similar flowchart. But we're going to see that Incineroar come back in the late game, right? So let's see what happens here. Tailwind, definitely. Definitely Tailwind. They're going to make the exact same plays. I don't even know if... So, one thing here. If I am Yuma, I don't Terrastalize my Blood Moon this turn. And I just let it I let it stick damage and get KO'd. And then I would be saving my Terrastalization for Typhlosion. That's what I would be doing in this matchup. Because Typhlosion will do an unbelievable amount of damage with that Sunny Day, with that Terra. See, Yuma is making the perfect adaptations to this one to actually, you know, capitalize on the fact they're in a good spot. You just need to break the Sash on the Pelipper. Remember that it would not have gotten that KO anyways. It was a little bit greedy to go for the Terra last turn, I believe. Because the Draco hits, you know they're going to double into it. Your Protect's on cooldown, right? And it's not like Terrastal doesn't let you live anything you wouldn't normally live. So the Weather Ball comes in here, and it is time for Typhlosion. We are going to see, you don't need a Terra yet, but like Sunny Day Eruption into, they bring it their Incineroar, you Sunny Day Eruption again, like easy peasy. You might even be able to go for like a Terrastalization on your Whims here, going Ghost or something. It's, yeah, I think they have Ghost Terra as their potential. You might just also Terrastalize the Typhlosion with Sunny Day to KO the Arch. Straight up. Like, that's a lot of damage. I vibe with this. This is a cool play. But, like, I'm telling you right now, if if you Terrastalize, if you swap in that Sinistcha and it goes Sunny Day, Fire Terra, Specs, Eruption, you're going to lose both your Pokemon here. And then you're going to be able to resend out the Pelipper and the Basket Legion, but the same play is going to happen again. It's going to be Sunny Day, Pivot, and Incin, Soak damage, Repin with Typhlosion. Like, oh my gosh, that's so good. That's a win for Yuma, I think. They have all the tools able to win this one. They have all the tools that they need to win this match. If they get a double KO right here, they win the match, in my opinion. It's going to restore the health on the Pelipper. No Terra. Okay. Also, they're not letting themselves get KO'd. It's cool. Yeah, I like this. So again, no Terra. You don't even have to Terra. You can just KO the Sinistcha right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Saving your Terra. That's greedy. That's that greedy play. But hey, you know what? Like, it definitely worked here. I think if you would have swapped in the, swapped out the Pelipper for Sinistcha, healed up the Arch might have actually been able to live that. And then, like, a crit Draco Meteor could have KO'd that Typhlosion. You always have to play around the Hail Mary crit Draco Meteor. It's always important. We're not seeing these players play around these crits as much as I think they need to be right now. But we see Basket Legion come in here, and Basket Legion is going to be trying to go for last respects. That's what we're really trying to see Basket Legion go into. Oh, I guess not. We're really going into this Aqua Jet play here, huh? All right. Hey, we got Incin. Incin's in the back. All you have to do is just pivot in the Incin. You don't even need a Sunny Day right now. Yep. Love seeing the Incin pivot. And I wonder how much damage. I wonder if this can actually KO the Pelipper. But remember, the whole thing about this game, if you walk in that Aqua Jet, you can't actually break the Whimsicott in the back. That's like the big thing here. We're seeing double dip Fire Eruption. They're really trying to pick up the KO on that Pelipper, and now they're not. This is gonna get spicy, because now all you have to do is, all Victor has to do, I really like how Victor played this, by the way, is just pivot back in that Pelipper. Now there's no Whimsicott on the board to correctly go for the damage mitigation. What I really thought we were going to see in that turn was Whimsicott was on the board and Typhlosion was here. I really thought the way that you win that match is by you need to leave your Whimsicott on the board, because it's not threatened by any of those mons. And you swap out your Typhlosion for Incineroar. This does a couple things for you. This lets you mitigate the damage from the Aqua Jet. It lets you guarantee stick the Intimidate without the risk of losing any of your Pokemon. And then from there, you have Fake Out Pins into the Basket Legion's partner, right? You have Fake Out Pins into Basket Legion if they go Terra, which they are going Terra. And then you also have the ability to then come back in with your Typhlosion and just Shadow Ball everything, now that the one thing that wouldn't want to take Shadow Ball damage is gone, right? So I think there are so many situations where Yuma could have played that just like slightly better, but now that they've gotten Whimsicott off of the board, they can't Sunny Day, right? So that means they're at the mercy for the one turn of Victor going for these really big tempo swings when they want to like swap out the Arch next turn for this for Pelipper to regain the weather, there's nothing that Yuma can do about it. See, the arch does not go down, right? And now you're massively pinned. You can fake out the Basket Legion, right? But I don't know, man. You can do that. That's fine. This is so dicey. I mean, good stuff for Victor actually planning these outs and finding these lines, I would say, because you're giving yourself chances, which like you shouldn't have had here. Yuma had all the lines they needed locked up already. So we see Pelipper come in here. Pelipper getting reactivated in the weather. If Whimsicott was still on the board, it would have been able to use Sunny Day, but it's not on the board now. Fake out, locking up that Basket Legion, who did go Terra that turn. Flinch happens, Eruption happens, and this is still a situation where Victor can definitely win. This Eruption's not doing nearly enough damage. Picks up the KO on the Pelipper. The Basket Legion is low, but now there's that big like tempo control that Victor has. The one turn of value. They have massive Aqua Jets. They have the potential to go for a big attack with the Arch here. Like a Body Press into an Incin and an Aqua Jet will get you double KOs. Right? I think there's still one more turn of Tailwind, so it's really going to come down to if this Incineroar has enough, speed investment to actually outspeed this this Arch, which I think it should, but we'll see. Pivot out the Incin into the Whims. I like that. I vibe with it. You know, you're not losing a Pokemon. You're regaining a Fake Out Pim for the late game. I like that. I think that's solid. Good play. Aqua Jet's going to fodder the Typhlosion here. And the issue with this play is, I would say normally you don't want to get Flash Cannoned by an Archaludon, but you have Babiri Berry on your Whimsicott. So even if the Flash Cannon were to come out, it's going to get its damage mitigated. And they go for the Electro Shot anyways. It would get its damage mitigated by 50% by the Babiri Berry that Whimsicott's holding, one of my favorite tech items in the game. So Whimsicott should be able to eat this. You're going to be able to bring in the Incin. You're going to be able to Moonblast the Arch, fake out the Basket Legion, and Yuma is going to be able to even up the score. Very, very cool stuff. Like, Yuma had all the right, like, little bits of techs here. They played a couple turns where I think they could have played it, like, a little bit more optimal to not give Victor, like, shots to come back. But at the same time, I think it's anyone's game. I think that Victor's going to have to make a change to their team moving forward. I don't think that Terastallizing your Basket Legion is a good idea there, because you Terastallizing got Fake Out twice. So it's like you could have just not ever Terastallized that thing, done a little bit less damage, and probably been in, a fine situation. But we're going to go to a game 3, and we're going to see who comes out on top here. Going into the replay. So yeah, I think that both players have shots here. I think that Victor's going to win this one. I think they have the experience. They've been on a tear for the past few years. They haven't even gone into like the Trick Room variant of their team yet. So I think Yuma's main line in beating this is like finding ways to roll with Sunny Day and Eruption. And that's definitely punishable by Trick Room into Trick Room into Ursaluna. So we're seeing Basket Legion and Incineroar be the lead here versus Whimsicott and Blood Moon. So I like this. This is a mix-up from both players for game 3. Sunny Days can happen. Pivots to Typhlosion can happen to block Fake Outs. I like this. I like these mix-ups. I would not be surprised if we were going to see like Fake Out into then go like Sinistcha or something. Does Whims have TR? Whims does not have TR. It's the Sinistcha that has TR. Yeah, that's a hard one. I would be Fake Out in the Whims here. Why not, right? I don't think there's a reason not to. Like, what is Whims going to really be doing in this situation? And you really don't want a situation where, like, that's a full speed Ursaluna. You don't want that Whims, like, being able to get Tailwind up and just one-shot your Basket Legion with, like, a Blood Moon on turn 1. So they're pivoting into their Arch, right? So, there's a Farigiraf. Oh, this is Farigiraf. They brought the Farigiraf. Oh, baited and outsmarted. Oh, taking the bait on those Fake Outs here. Now, the cool thing about this for Victor is the Ursaluna is going to be slower, I believe, than this Basket Legion. So you're going to be able to pivot correctly, but that Fake Out is definitely wasted. So Fake Out, wasted, baited. Now I want to say this also means that Yuma can't have as many defensive tools as possible. We can kind of say that this is probably going to almost guarantee that the last Pokemon Yuma has is Typhlosion. So be on the lookout for that. Flip turn is good damage into Blood Moon, who goes normal to mitigate the damage there. You come in with Pelipper here, I think. I wouldn't come with Arch. Oh, they're coming with Arch to block Blood Moon. That's fair. I would have still came in with Pelipper, because like Pelipper's great in this board. Yeah, Arch is fine. Maybe they pivot out in Sin next turn for Pelipper. Again, they're definitely more experienced with their team than I am, but I think that you're going to be able to leverage some advantage here. Let's see. Draco. Draco knockoff into that? And then you just... Because it shouldn't have Protect, right? Worst case scenario, it's a 1-for-1 trade. And then if they go into Whims or Typhlosion, you just pivot in the Pelipper. That's solid. I like the lines that Victor's going for here. I like these lines. It looks like Yuma anticipated more Trick Room than actually, we saw come here. And it looks like Victor does not want the Trick Room to go up in case, one of Yuma's Pokemon is there. So let's see. Is this Typhlosion pivoting in here or not? That'd be kind of crazy. Whims. Okay, that's fair. Able to block the fighting attacks. Double swap. Is this Typhlosion? Is this a read? You cannot swap into Typhlosion there. What is the last Pokemon? I'm not understanding those lines here. Those lines make no sense to me. If you are going to swap in Typhlosion, you have to swap it out for the Blood Moon, right? The Blood Moon is the Pokemon that would, out of those two Pokemon, have Protect. So if there is even a chance to have a slot be ignored for a tempo to be gained, it would be going into the Blood Moon slot, whose Protect was off cooldown. So Typhlosion, the Pokemon that needs to mitigate damage, while also being a Ghost type that can mitigate the fighting type moves like that Body Press that the Archaludon already has a +1 and 2, you definitely need to swap out the Typhlosion into the Whim slot there. I really thought that the Whims was swapping in there because it's Fairy type and could mitigate some fighting coverage and stuff like that. But at the same time, it doesn't make any sense. You're going for a double pivot there, and you're swapping out a Pokemon with a Dark weakness in front of a Dark Pokemon for a Pokemon with a Dark weakness. Like that I'm not vibing with that. Yeah, I don't know what you thought was going to happen, homie, but like, that's damage. That's a 1-hit KO, easy peasy. And then a Draco's, I think, getting ripped here, right? But didn't matter. Like, that threat averted. You have no win condition anymore. Your Blood Moon is no longer at full. You have limited ways to set speed control because, like, Farigiraf and Blood Moon might not be able to actually outspeed the Basculegion if there's, like, weather involved. So this is going to be... I mean, it's still anyone's game, but that was, like, you just donation accepted it away, your Farigiraf, for no reason. This Instinct could pivot out, come back in, actually get to go for fake outs, wait out speed control. There's so many things that could happen in this situation here. And you have to still be really afraid of Victor's last Pokemon actually being Sinistcha and healing up that Archaludon. That's something you really have to be scared about. Just wonder if there's enough damage for Victor to be able to... Now let's see what happens. It looks like they're doubling the Ursaluna. Tailwind's going to happen here. We're going to see the big Hyper Voice, I feel, but like, I really like that Victor's sticking to their guns here and forcing. I love this. So this is why, all right, this is what like the player that we saw in the first round didn't do correctly. They tried to have their cake and eat it too. They tried to like protect with one, pivot with the other, and regain the perfect board state. It's what we kind of saw Yuma go for last turn. You need to force people into trades. Be like, you know what? You can have my Archaludon. You can have it. You can single target that thing, take it out, take a Life Orb tick, but I'm not just going to let you have it for free, right? Not going to let you have it for free. Look at that damage. Knockoff, you're so low. You're low enough to where anything will get the KO here. An Aqua Jet, you definitely go Basculegion. You got to go Basculegion. You go Basculegion, you pivot out your Pelipper, activate the Rain, force the Sunny Day, and then you don't. Whimsicott cannot click Sunny Day and pivot to Farigiraf at the same time, which means you just go the Wave Crash and you win, right? Every single time. Easy peasy, let's go. Flip turn even better, right? Doesn't really matter what slots you're going into. Oh, I really like that. See, this is that pro play. They're thinking about ignoring the Blood Moon. I love that because now you're not really actually afraid of getting O-code by the Blood Moon because you knocked off its Life Orb with your Incineroar. I love that. That's so smart. Oh, that's so good. Love this. Yeah, that's good tech. I think I would still knock off the Whimsicott slot. I think I would. But he wants to repin for the fake out. He wants to repin for a fake out. I vibe with that. But yeah, the Whimsicott cannot do it all. It can't Sunny. It looks like they are going for the Sunny Day variant, which is scarier than the Farigiraf pivot because it's just like sticking damage on the board. But let's see what happens here. They were opening themselves up to actually just getting Aqua Jetted and getting messed up, which leads me to believe that they're going for like a Protect Sunny Day. Oh, just kidding. Moonblast, good damage. Good thing they're going to be able to stick a KO here. Yeah, that's a little bit of a throw over there. Holy moly. Yeah, see, if you're going to make that play, you have to just hard swap in your Pelipper, which is what we talked about like a turn ago when I was like, oh, easy peasy lemon squeezy, you wrap it up. All you have to do is swap in the Pelipper, right? If you swap out the Insim for the Pelipper, you're getting the same effect of being able to reset your Intimidate, reset your Fake Out potential, but you force the Whimsicott into a situation where they have to Sunny Day. If they have to Sunny Day, you know what they can't do? They can't Blood Moon you. And remember, we already talked about how you don't get the KO on the Basket Legion with the Blood Moon now that the Life Orb has been knocked off. So a little bit of a throw, just a wee tad throw, It's still possible to win for Victor, but that is just the slightest of slight throws. What's up with people not like? What's up with people today, man? Holy moly! Whimsicott's going to be able to get parting shotted. Come back in with the Incineroar. This probably will force the Whimsicott to swap out into the Frigoraph to change up the. How would I word this? It will change up the like Fake Out turns and stuff like that. Because it's at -1 from the parting shot. But let's see what happens here. Pelipper is still great, by the way. Pelipper, just Muddy Water, everything. Like, Weather Ball. I don't think it has Muddy Water on this set, but like Muddy Water is great here. I think they really thought that they were going to get a passive play on the Blood Moon here, and they just didn't. Blood Moon is also on cooldown, so we would be seeing Hyper Voice here. So that being said, do you Fake Out the Blood Moon? That's hard to say. This is actually a rough one. What I would do here is if I were Yuma, I would protect with my Blood Moon. And I know it's going to sound crazy. I'd protect with Blood Moon and pivot in my Frigoraph. Now you're probably thinking, why would you protect the Blood Moon to block like Fake Out? If you're going to pivot in something that blocks Fake Out, and it makes it so they can't just throw both their mons into the Blood Moon. And then once Frigoraph is on the board, you actually pivot out the Blood Moon for the Whimsicott and try and do literally anything with the Frigoraph. But you're eventually going to re-get is a board state that is like Whimsicott with Blood Moon on the board at the end of like everything that you're doing here. That's just what I would do. There's the pivot there. Let's see if the Blood Moon protects. Let's see if I am a player that should be playing at this international. Let's see it. There's the Frigoraph. Earth Power. That's fine. Yep, nothing wrong with that at all. He didn't even go for the Fake Out. Doesn't really matter. Incineroar does go down. It's up to Pelipper. Now the reason why I said I like Protect Blood Moon here is because that you're going to lose your Blood Moon here. And now I actually think that Pelipper is a Pokemon that can win 1v2 versus Whimsicott and Frigoraph, right? I think that it is. It definitely is, right? Confusions are a thing off Hurricane. Hurricane's just a thing. Like, they're definitely, I think, going to go for like a Sunny Day here. I like the Sunny Day here, but let's see what happens here. Moonblast, okay, cool. I like that tech. So let's see. Special attack drop, Lomo. So that's probably going to be a win for Yuma. And the Psychic, they still outspeed. Yeah, everything's going to be good here. Good job. Good job, Yuma. Actually, like, sticking to their guns, getting that win. I think that Victor had a shot to win, but Yuma played, you know, game 2 really, really well. They were able to win in game 3, and, you know, cool to see them move forward. I really like the Typhlosion pick, and I feel that even without Typhlosion in game 3, they still made a bunch of really good plays, and they really held on to their Ursaluna, and they had the right amount of weather control to like stick it out and get those big wins. So, so that's probably going to be all that I'm doing for casting today. But if you guys liked seeing me cast these events, liked seeing me like analyze some of the board states, talk about my thoughts about how each player should be, you know, approaching each turn, and talking about the importance and like having the right 3rd and 4th Pokemon in these matches, you know, let me know. I'm definitely down to cast more games. This was definitely fun. And if you guys want to see more, you know, games cast, more regional stuff like that, more icy stuff like that, Worlds coverage, think about checking out the YouTube channel. And other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace. I'll see you guys next time.